Welcome to the Jesus Storybook Bible Podcast, a place where we remind you that grace can rewrite any story, that hope shines a light through our darkest moments, and that God's love changes lives. Here's your host, New York Times bestselling author, Sally Lloyd Jones.
Hello, I'm Sally Lloyd Jones, author of the Jesus Storybook Bible, which tells the story of God's never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. Welcome to the show. On this week's episode, we include my dear friend Jago, the talented illustrator and fellow Brit. Jago is the visual genius and the illustrator of our collaboration, the Jesus Storybook Bible, as well as our board books like Found and Loved, and also our devotional Thoughts to Make Your Heart Sing. Jago's work has such heart and such joy, and he is a master at what he does. And so, of course, I was delighted that he is the illustrator of our brand new book, Jesus, Our True Friend, Stories to Fill Your Heart with Joy. And I thought, what better way to celebrate the release of Jesus, Our True Friend than to hear from Jago himself. I hope you'll be able to get a copy of the book, and then you'll be able to see his magnificent illustrations for yourself. Jago's artistry is on full display. What I love is he has an uncanny ability to reach people of all ages and to create images that are full of passion and beauty and tenderness and illuminate the wonderful good news that God just can't stop loving us. So, without further ado, please welcome my dear friend, and now yours, Jago Silver.
I'm Jago. I'm an illustrator, which means I'm lucky enough to draw pictures for a living. I've been doing this since 2003, so almost 20 years now. I've worked on over 60 books, sold 6 million of them, and won 21 awards over the years. So I had a slightly strange introduction into my art career because I actually wanted to be an archaeologist. So when I went to college, I did a whole load of science and history A-levels and actually got a place to study archaeology at a little university in Wales. And then kind of during the summer when I should have been reading up on lots of archaeological journals, I was just spending all my time messing around on the computer trying to make pictures. My mum is an art teacher and my dad's a potter. And I think both of them were just kind of waiting for the penny to drop that maybe archaeology wasn't actually for me, but didn't really want to push me into anything. And so then over that summer, I kind of came to the realization that although I liked archaeology, I wasn't really interested enough in it to go and do a degree. But I didn't have any art qualifications. So I went back to college and kind of talked my way onto an art and design course with a little sketchbook of pictures that I'd done over the summer. And so then I did an art qualification, which then got me onto an illustration degree course in Falmouth, which is quite a unique place because it's a kind of university in a very small town in Cornwall by the sea. And I actually ended up with invitations from 2 different publishers at my degree show, which was a great start. So I went off and spoke to those and ended up with a 5-book deal between these 2 different publishers straight out of college, which I wasn't really expecting. All of our university lecturers had been kind of drumming it into us that it was going to be a sort of long, hard slog and we wouldn't expect to kind of get any kind of a success for a very long time. And so I'd just sort of been assuming that would be how it worked. And then literally ended up with 5 picture books straight off the bat, which was exciting, but also a bit daunting because although I've always loved picture books, I'd never done one before, obviously. So it was a bit of a baptism of fire, my first picture book. We were kind of shown the various different types of illustration you could do. And to me, picture books seem to fit quite nicely in terms of, on the one hand, you have editorial illustrations for magazines, newspapers, which is always very high pressure and short deadlines. And you're often only producing one piece of work. And then you might have sort of advertising work, which can be very well paid, but also very high pressure. And I think I've always enjoyed picture books. My auntie, when I was young, used to work at a library, and every now and again they'd get rid of picture books that were too old, and she'd give them all to me. So I still have quite a lot of them, actually. So I have a huge collection of picture books, lots of them from the sort of 60s and 70s, which I've kind of grown up with. So I've always been fascinated by picture books, I think, from a young age. So when I was doing my illustration degree, it just kind of seemed natural that was what I would gravitate towards. It was a good amount of work because you were doing a whole series of pictures rather than just one. But it wasn't that kind of high pressure environment of having to churn something out in a matter of days or hours. So I think it was a combination of all those things that led me into that, really. So I think I've always enjoyed the idea that illustrations, good illustrations, if you look at the picture on its own, they should kind of make you wonder what's going on and what's going to happen next. And I remember when I was doing my degree being really struck by some illustrators who could, in a kind of a single image, just make you wonder what was going on and what was about to happen, or maybe suggest that something terrible or wonderful was about to happen. And I guess when I'm doing my illustrations, I try to remember what it was like as a child to look at the pictures while I'm drawing them. And there's certain illustrations that still kind of stand out to me from my own childhood. And when I look back at them now, they're not necessarily illustrations that I like in an artistic sense, but they've obviously had something that made me remember them, that made them stick in my head. And I think my own children have helped too. My wife and I have always read them stories. And I always think it's interesting to see which bits of a book they really like or don't like, and which bits they memorize. There's particular stories that we've read them over the years. I think I could probably still tell you all of the words to them. And there's certain illustrations that they kind of look forward to seeing. When me and Sally have been on these little book tours that we've done, I do find it quite kind of overwhelming when you sort of step back and think that there's a whole generation, multiple generations, I guess, of children who've grown up with that as their version of all of these stories. And that when they think about these characters and people in this book, that what they're picturing is the pictures that I drew 15 years ago for it. It's quite a strange feeling, really, as an illustrator, to kind of realise that somebody's whole idea of what Jonah and the giant fish looks like is based on a picture that I drew 15 years ago.
I'm so glad you were able to join us today to hear more about Jesus, our true friend, and to join in our conversation with Jago. And also, by the way, stay tuned, because next time we have a special Advent episode. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Till then, cheerio.
You can get the Jesus Storybook Bible wherever books are sold. To find out more about the book and all of Sally's other books, please visit Sally at sallylloyd-jones.com and follow her on Instagram at Sally Lloyd Jones and at Jesus_Storybook_Bible.
Before we go, don't forget, God loves you with a never stopping, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love.
Oh, hello, it's me again, Sally. I'm just popping back briefly to say two things. The first thing is, don't forget to subscribe to the show, because that way you'll get the stories straight to your phone. And the other thing is, while we're at it, would you rate the show and leave us a review? That would be so great, because it helps other people find the show too. I really appreciate your help. Thank you.